Hey, hi, and hello, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you are doing well. And it's time for another edition of our ongoing series where I look at the top 10 according to Billboard Music of the, hottest songs of the year for a given year. And I just basically tier out those songs in a lovely little tier list like the one over here that you're going to see right next to my head. We've done the 2010s. We are working our way through the 2000s currently. This year, 2002. God, I was still going to high school in 2002. So, I remember quite vividly some of these bangers from my days of listening to the radio pretty often. Going back and listening to some of these tracks, honest to God, did give me a very hefty shot of nostalgia. Of course, kicking things off at number 10. Our number 10 track is Puddle of Mud. Yes, good old Puddle of Mud with the song Blurry. Now, this band, this post-grunge band, is responsible for, I think, one of the worst songs of the 2000s. I mean, worst, but also most fun. That would be the track, She Fucking Hates Me. She fucking hates me. She fucking hates me. Probably because you made that crappy-ass novelty rock song. But this track that we have over here is the song Blurry, which is actually not a bad single in my view. I mean, it is a tad bit generic, but the production is there, the songwriting is there, the vocals are a little Kurt Cobain-esque, but they're not a bad ripoff, I guess, in that sense. I feel like a lot of post-grunge bands have this tendency to go either Cobain or they go maybe a little Eddie Vedder. Rarely do you get a Chris Cornell here and there. But, as far as Cobain worship over an instrumental that sounds like the Foo Fighters could have put it together, this one's not too bad. I really do genuinely enjoy the chorus of this song as well. When you take it all away, when you take it all away, and you shoved it in my face. Plus that harmonic guitar line on the opening of the track, iconic. Yeah, there's just quite a few memorable characteristics to the song that I think are quite respectable and are worth celebrating from a band that historically has really come out with some awful music, like some truly bad music has Puddle of Mud been responsible for. But I don't think Blurry is one of them. I think Blurry with the letter B starting the title, we could put that in the B row. All right, next we're going to get a little sensual with it with Usher on the song You Got It Bad. Through the 90s and 2000s, Usher had quite a few bangers, major hits, so on and so forth. I mean, he was handily one of the biggest, if not the biggest, male R&B singer of that era. However, I don't think You Got It Bad is one of his better hits. I think the instrumental is fine. There's a lot of passion to the performance, but is it one of his more tuneful cuts in his catalog? I don't think so. I think it's a vibe. I do think it does have some basic elements. Performance is solid and everything, and there are some impressive vocal lines. Is it the strongest piece of songwriting here? I just don't think so. Structurally, it just kind of feels very one-dimensional. But still, not a bad listen, though. I would put this in the C row. Okay. Who do we have next? It is Fat Joe with What's Love, featuring Ashanti. This is at a point in Fat Joe's career where he was pretty well transitioned out of his, hardcore hip hop dealings of the 90s, and he was, I guess, embracing the bling era of the 2000s. And during that era, he was good for, a couple of really great club hits. With the Terror Squad, we obviously had Lean Back. And What's Love with Ashanti is another one of those cuts, and I think this track is fantastic. I think it's aged really well, too. The Ashanti hook sounds fantastic. The beat is banging. Fat Joe is sounding slick and confident and braggadocious on pretty much every verse here, plus some of the most memorable melody lines to come out of any hip-hop song that year. What's love? It's about us. It's about just. With this track, you're also talking about like this growing trend of rap and R&B crossovers, which there have been many very bad, very odd, very mediocre, and very subpar ones to drop over the years. But, What's Love, in my opinion, is like one of the best, one of the archetypes archetypes of this era. A lot of shit that was trying to, again, go for that same crossover blend was hoping to have the same level of success as tracks like this. And why wouldn't you? It's a good track. It's a good track. All right, now things are getting interesting over here. What do we have next? Linkin Park, In the End. Yeah! One of the biggest singles from one of the best-selling debut albums of all time, Hybrid Theory. Linkin Park came onto the scene with this ultra melodic fusion of metal and alt rock and electronics and hip hop. And In the End is like really their powerful, emotional, somewhat melodramatic anthem. While I know that rap metal and various variations of it over the years have pretty much become, really just a joke and not taken all that seriously. Linkin Park is one of the few bands in that earlier era of its popularity that you really actually can look back on and admire their production, their songwriting, their artistry, and In the End, I think, is just one of the best, one of the peaks of their creativity at that time. R.I.P. to Chester Bennington. Also, a shout out to Mike Shinoda for his rap verses on this track. I mean, pretty much every bar in his verses on this track have become iconic over the years. Yeah, I love this track. It's just got great production, performance, writing, everything. Like everything that I would want in sort of a mainstream metal song is in this track. And I certainly loved it as a kid. Still love it now. Even if maybe it's overplay over the years and the fact that it does hit in such a nostalgic way for me, it does make it slightly a meme, at least in my mind. But it's still an amazing track, still a era-defining track in my opinion. I would put this in the S row. Hell yeah, we're going full S on this one. It's S tier. Okay, next we have another heavy hitter in the Billboard list for 2002, Vanessa Carlton's 1,000 Miles. This one's a banger. Like, this has always been a banger. The piano playing is fire. Vanessa's vocals are great. The lyrics really stick with you. The way the progression of the instrumentation just like kind of swells and gets more intense as it moves along is rare for a lot of balladry and pop balladry that would make the radio during that time. And it's just very hooky. It's very sweet. It's very passionate. It's very, I would say, refined as well, especially with those string touches. God, there's so many sticky melodies laced throughout this track. Again, between those strings, between the general piano licks on the track, between Vanessa's voice, there's like so many different layers and amazingly memorable moments, all just like coalescing into this one song. This one is fantastic too. I can't say enough positive and nice things about it. Certainly one of the best songs of this year. I'm going to put this over in the S row, the S tier as well. Vanessa Carlton's 1,000 Miles is most definitely an S tier song. Okay, this next one comes from the band The Calling. The song is Wherever You Will Go. It's kind of funny. I needed to remind myself of who this band was and what this song was. But when I revisited it, I actually had heard it. I actually remember hearing this song quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, I think at the time when I was a kid, when I heard this track, I didn't really know who it was. And I thought that whenever it was on the radio, maybe it was like a Matchbox 20 song or something. This track from The Calling really does have like all the makings of a mediocre, melodramatic, sad guy rock song. And if that's your genre, I suppose that's your genre. It's not the worst listen that you could subject yourself to, but it is a tad bit generic in my mind. I think I'm going to put this in the D tier. All right, next on the list here, you know who had a really big 2002? Nelly. Nelly had a really big 2002, and the reason why, at least one of the reasons why, was this track with Kelly Rowland of Destiny's Child fame, Dilemma, which was mega popular, and I mean, deservedly so, one of the best and cutest and most heartening melodies of any radio song that year. No matter what I do, all I think about is you, even when I'm with my boo. Boy, I'm crazy over you. Killer beat backing up that Kelly Rowland chorus. Nelly's verses on the track are effortless, smooth, a tad bit melodic as well, which I think was a great touch for that time. It's got great structure, got a great mix as well. It's just a good, fun, sweet, little sentimental and romantic kind of song. It's absolutely precious, and I will not hear otherwise. I feel like this one's a kind of a banger too. Very cute. In my mind, flawless. I mean, Nelly, in my opinion, isn't really an album artist. He doesn't have like a full record that, in my mind, is a banger from front to back and super groundbreaking and influential, so on and so forth. But the man has hits, and when his hits hit, they did hit. I mean, there are some that I could get into that I'm not crazy about, but in this one in particular, I think is amazing, is fantastic. I'm putting this one in the fucking S tier 2. This one's going in S2. Also proving that 2002 was Nelly's year, we have the track Hot in Here, which I'm kind of torn on, frankly. Even when it came out and to this day, I personally feel like this song has one of the most annoying choruses to be on any radio song during this era. I know that sounds a little harsh. Maybe that's a little much to say, but I do think it is the case. However, the verses are great. The intro is absolutely killer with those keys. And on top of it, this song does feature one of the best, Neptunes and Pharrell beats of the 2000s. Williams was just churning out those club hits in this era around this time, and Hot in Here was freaking one of them. So while I do think there are some weak aspects to the track, elements of it that are great are fantastic, and certainly close a lot of the more maybe annoying or novelty feeling aspects of the song. So I'm going to throw this over in the B tier. Now, 2002 was also Ashanti's year, as we were making reference to her earlier on the Fat Joe track on which she featured. This song, Foolish, was named number 2 by Billboard. And while there are some elements of it that I do think stand out, even with time, be it the lead vocal melody line on the chorus or, that little kind of piano or key lick repeating in the background, as a song, as an overall musical experience, I think Foolish is kind of weak. To me, it kind of feels like a part A, a semblance of a song, the start of an idea, but it doesn't really progress into much of anything as it goes along. I feel like what aspects of it are enjoyable get pretty stale by the end of the track because there's not really much in the way of variation on the song. As far as vocals you could catch on an R&B track in the 2000s, I don't think Ashanti is bringing the strongest or the most unique. This is just one of those tracks that from back in the day I thought was okay. And, with further listening and retrospect at my disposal as well, I'm just not really seeing what the big deal is. I think it's just merely all right. There was much superior R&B dropping during this point in time. I would put this over in the C tier. And finally, we have the big boys from Canada. That would be Nickelback, everyone's favorite band to hate. Oh, we all hate Nickelback, worst band in the world. Honestly, look at this photograph. Bit of a banger. That track does bring some feels. But How You Remind Me is like really in my mind anyway, the Nickelback hit. Like that was really, I think, my introduction to the band personally. Like I think this song being on the radio was the first time I had ever heard any Nickelback ever. And, since I first heard it, I was not really crazy about it. Maybe as the years have gone on and the general societal hatred for anything and everything Nickelback has led me to feel like maybe some of the hate was a little over the top or unwarranted. That hasn't made me change my mind on the quality of Nickelback's music generally. I just think they happen to get all the hate that they did because collectively everybody realized that they were mid and, mind you, mid, not the worst band in the world, just merely mid. And because of the ease at which everybody arrived to that conclusion, people feel safer in voicing their opinions, especially negative opinions, because they feel like they won't get any pushback on it. Of course, you're going to have people that kind of take it a little too far and they're like, oh yeah, this isn't just, not that good. This is the worst thing in the world. This is the crappiest thing that's ever been recorded of all time. It's not. There's like way worse and much more annoying music out there, frankly. But How You Remind Me is a pretty mediocre, annoying, cloying, and melodramatic track. I think some of the riffs are okay. The song structure is certainly there. Chad's voice, not crazy about it, honestly. It does kind of have that husky, corny, post-grunge, "My, you remind me" quality to it that honestly, when I hear it, it's just a turn off. I tune it out immediately. It's just not really for me. Yeah, there are elements of this track that I most likely will never really truly warm up to. Are there parts of it that really kind of hit with me? A little bit. For having you a heart worth breaking, I've been wrong, I've been down to the bottom of every bottle. And the way the riffs are going at that part in the chorus and the post-chorus, I mean, it's got some moments. It's got some moments. Simultaneously, would I blast this loud in the car with the windows down and not feel shame? No, I would definitely feel shame. I would feel a deep sense of shame. I'm going to be generous today and put it in the C. 2002 is looking pretty good. We got 3 S's out of 2002. I mean, like 3 unequivocal, no debate S's. 1,000 Miles, Dilemma, In the End. Hell yeah. I guess if I was feeling less charitable, I would put Puddle of Mud in C and I would put Nickelback in D. But even that doesn't really ruin the structure of 2002 all that much. It's still got some really big and great tracks. Interesting the way some of these top 10s end up tearing out. Some years bring a lot of F material. Some years bring a lot of S material. And this just happens to be more the latter than the former. So yeah, there you have it. That is that. You are the best. Thank you for watching. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, tier list 2002 of Forever.